welcome to DMC Hour, DMC being deep, meaningful conversations. So, my name is Tanman Batiste. Today, I'm very excited about the guest that we're going to have. What we'll be talking about is poetry, and we're going to speak to this author about her journey into creating this poetry book that she has recently published. So, without further ado, I'd welcome my guest here. If you'd like to join me. First and foremost, would you like to give an introduction?
My name is Ita Nelson, and I'm a licensed massage therapist, author, woodcarver. I also work in stone as well, and tiles, and many other stuff that I do around the home and in the garden.
Nice. So today, I'm very happy to have you here. So first and foremost,
Thank
thank
you.
you for joining us on this journey and this conversation you're about to have. And what we'll be focused on today is her poetry book, A Journey Along the Way. What I'd like to ask is, what led you to create this poetry book? What was the inspiration behind that?
I've always liked writing from growing up, going to school and so on, and I always like to keep a diary. And one day I decided that I would start putting down my thoughts about my personal life, things that happen in my area, in the world as well. And I got into history and understanding a whole lot more about self. So
Mhm.
I decided to write based on my personal experience and my opinions
Mm.
and put it into the poetry on events and so on.
Okay. And when was the first poem that you had? How old were you and what was that
I
experience?
was about 22 years old
Wow.
when I started writing and even carving as well,
Mm-hmm.
on wood and also on candles and so on at a very early age,
Mm-hmm.
so I always tend to be different in the sense that I've been more into nature and more into the history of people and on the planet and our role as beings on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my name being Eartha have a whole lot to do with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I'm very, I'm a very earthly, nature loving person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see. And when you first started this journey in terms of writing poetry, was the end goal a poem book that you would be publishing, or was it something that's a form of releasing your particular emotions at that time or your particular experiences?
I would say both in the sense that I always would wanted to publish so that people would be able to read it and see themselves within it,
Mhm.
so I would say both,
Both.
both
Okay.
publishing and for personal.
And how long did it take you to, accumulate the amount of poems within the book?
Many years, over 20 years, I've
Mm.
been writing. I've been saving my work and putting it and every so often going back to it and, seeing myself there. And it gives me a lot of strength as well. It gave me a lot of
Mm.
strength over the years to keep writing.
Mm.
And it helped me a lot personally. It was like the therapy,
Mm.
so.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So, in terms of before we dive directly into the poems, in terms of the cover and the artistry behind that, how did that come together and how does that?
Well, in terms of the cover, if you look at it, you would see a lady, a face blowing seeds out into the universe, out into the world. So
Mhm.
it's like planting a seed and then it blossoming into a tree and giving fruits and spreading to others. So it's really knowledge
Mhm.
being spread to all those who care to stop and listen and learn something that could help them along their way into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is where the idea came from for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then now, if we um dive into it a little bit, and I'd ask, what was your first, what would you say is the most influential poem that you have? And
That's a very that's a very hard question, you know. But I would say connections, the first poem really, because it's really where people will connect. Connections is people focusing their mind on what they have to do, because what I realized spending time in nature for all these years and living in a more or less a natural life, I realized that people need to connect themselves to what is real,
mm,
which is nature, which is planting and food and family and all these simple down to earth things. So we need to get back to that,
mm,
right? Because at the end of the day, no matter what level of technical standard we have as human being, we still have to eat and we still have to live and we still have to have our families and all this other stuff. So based on that now, I would say that people need to connect themselves back
mm,
to the to nature, back to the future,
mm,
so that they will become more conscious and get things together, get things working in a prosperous way for we to have a more sustainable planet, a more sustainable people in the sense that where people will be knowing what their duties are, because we are the custodians of the planet
mm, yeah,
and we are responsible for whatever happens here,
mm,
and people how should not be living in fear.
mm,
People should not be living in war.
mm,
We need to get ourselves together and realize the beauty of what was given to us to be able to be birthed onto this planet. It is a blessing, and we have to do better
mm,
and stop destroying Mother Earth.
mm. So you're of the opinion as well. Um, well, in other words, as we improve even with technology, instead of it pushing us to a more positive future, there's a lot of people caught up in the present and what they can do right now without really, thinking about the future generations and putting more things in place that it's just a livable planet at the end of the day, really.
I totally would say that, because look at us. Look at not it's people in general. Look at the people. Look at what we are doing. Look at the youth. And people not focusing on that which is real and it is right in front of us, not taking care of our own, even our own personal space.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do better.
Mm-hmm. And could you read that poem for us?
Connections, people, people. Let's focus our minds. Let's line it up into the deepest parts of our consciousness. We are reaching out. Let us live in the future as we reach out to each other. People, let's get this thing working.
Nice, nice. So I see what you were saying and how you extrapolated and brought everything together there. Okay. And then in terms of personal journey, so while I read through this book, there were a lot of poems that alluded to certain like significant influences in your life throughout your life. So is there any poem that you think it's a good example of an experience, good or bad, that you were able to, get those feelings through the poetry and to the readers?
Mm. My reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Out of this world of destruction, like a rotten tree, mushrooms a new beginning, a new breed, a rebirth of something powerful and free. The veil of deceit has been thrown off. The flame is alive and burning bright, growing to engulf. And like a shining star, I am shooting, moving out into the universe, sharing realization deep within. Time has lost its meaning. What matters is the now, yearning for peace to be unburdened, the moment of my rebirth, returning to live life anew. Out of chaos, I have come. My environment has shaped me. The jewels of knowledge remain, enriching life in the acceptance of truth. This is the moment of my rebirth.
Mm. And what was the influence behind that
The
poem?
influence behind the poem is me looking at myself, looking at my reaction to the environment that I was growing up in,
Mm-hmm.
and realizing that I wanted something different
Mm-hmm.
for my life, my future, my children, and whatever else I may do for the future. This poem was written, maybe was about 23, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now beginning to with a family and a young family and wanting and realizing that I want to do things differently, that I want to accomplish greatness in the sense that not about money and material, but more about knowledge, taking the knowledge that you have and making not making something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That the ordinary things that we would look at and say that and may discard and say it's of no value, I decided that I will look for value in the simplest things,
Mm-hmm.
so and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I've been doing.
Yeah. I mean, and definitely, definitely you can see that mindset being constant and translating to where you are now, just in terms of even your immediate environments and all the accomplishments of, constant building. And one of the things that I always say to my friends and stuff as well is that I'm always inspired when I come back home and see how many changes and things that there are, and that really, pushes me to if we focus even more and rebuild my energy to dive into to what I need to accomplish again when I get back to the UK and things like that. So yeah, definitely, and even considering previous experiences and transitioning to here and this place and how everything has transformed since the first day of seeing this place. It's an amazing and an amazing thing. So definitely seeing those that consistency and accomplishment follow you through life. Yeah.
Mm, Thank you.
And are there any other poems that you would like to highlight that you would think would be something that resonate with a lot of people?
Analyze. Like the majestic Kobo, we must search the entrails of our history, not just discard it to some voltaire, waiting to tear us apart, while standing on the tombs of our ancestors, wings outstretched majestically, waiting in vain. We must enter the tombs of our mind, break away the concrete years asleep, our history of pain and glory, to revisit and analyze. Like the majestic Kobo, we must search through the rot to find the gleaming truths about ourselves, taking these truths to far reaching places in our consciousness. where we can once more acknowledge our sense of self, far reaching into the realms of time, binding the broken links of our history.
Mhm. And what's the story?
Well, it is all about each and every individual looking for the truth, finding the truth within themselves, really.
Mm-hmm.
To get that, if you want change as a person, as a people, we have to analyze ourselves and look for the truth about ourselves for us to move forward to make any difference in our personal lives and the lives of others.
Mm-hmm.
And that it is just that simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very fair, very understandable as well. Um, and I think this was a recent. It's always a ever present topic of conversation, but also a recent topic of conversation since me being down the here and speaking to some of my friends in terms of reflection in general, because reflection really is what lays the foundation of any type of change. So, and with reflection as well, usually in a positive direction, because generally speaking, you would reflect on your actions in certain situations, or even reflecting on the progress or how you react to certain situations as you get older. So I think it's a really important thing that is always, it's always good to remind yourself of that reflection and to push that change. So looking inward as well as outward as well. So always having that connection to your spirituality in whatever form, but also your goals and your, you know, the impact that you want to leave behind as well. So I think that's a good poem that's a lot of people could reflect, resonate on as well. So yeah, good choice.
Um, because a lot of times when you look at this society, people may not be happy about what's going on with them. They might be okay, but what's going on with others as well. And if you really want change, it begins with you.
Mhm.
The man in the mirror, as Michael Jackson
Says
said,
yeah.
you have to look at the man in the mirror and make the change from within you,
Mm,
within yourself. People wait and expect the governments to do change, do things for them,
mm,
and make changes for them. But that is not how it really works. If you want meaningful change that is lasting,
mm,
that for generations to come, it begins with you, the individual.
yeah, definitely agree. And I would say one of the things that I have experienced a bit is those changes, those little changes that you focus on internally, also ripples has a ripple effect on your progress as well. And even with and this kind of also links with the podcast in general, because this is a platform that I'd want people to come to and get certain pieces of information or hear about certain experiences, and then with that see the parallels with their lives and realize as well that with anyone coming onto this and taking the time to share their experiences and share their knowledge are people who went through these things, and you can do it too, essentially. So that being the premise of this as well. But moving on to any any final ideas or things that we would want to um give them. So say one final poem and then any takeaways. We'll touch on any takeaways before closing.
Okay. Our creation. Machine is God. The internet has all the answers. Computer is God. Any information seeking, technology is there for the asking. Morality you don't need. Grow the children with television, and when there are problems, please pull the trigger softly. The final answer comes quickly. We have made our gods. They are our weapons of strength. The results are in Africa, Palestine, Japan, and on and on. Man, we can kill, 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 wipe out the whole human race. There ain't no God to interfere. Our weapons of steel, they do not feel. They do not care about pain and fear. Our computers are always ready to serve. We have gotten what we deserve.
Mm.
So, with that being said, each individual must take responsibility for their own actions.
Mhm. Mhm. I think that's a very good one to close off. We wouldn't. I'd let this one sit with the audience and have their interpretation of it, and the direct parallels that I myself hear to the world at present. So what we'll do is we'll just close up here, and if you'd like to say any final words of inspiration to Tom, or anything, any final words generally that you want to close up.
To achieve anything in in life, you have to be persistent and consistent on a daily basis. It's have no magic formula, and nothing is promised unto you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You come on this planet, you have to work for anything that you want and work hard, work honestly, and you will achieve anything you want in your life.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So thank you again for coming on the MC Hour. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation, and
Thank you.
I really appreciate the sharing of the knowledge on your poetry as well. So the MC Hour, Deep Meaningful Conversations. And today we had a great discussion with the author of A Journey Along the Way. I will be linking it in the description as well, so you guys can have direct access to it. And there are a lot of poems there that you can, go through and make parallels with your life, and reflect on a lot of things. So thanks again for listening. DMC, our Deep Meaningful Conversations. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.